How can your social mission empower your career, your business, and your life, actually?
I think there's, frankly, a ton of different ways that this can get exciting for everybody. One of the things to think about is what is the sort of the impact that doing this can make for someone. And I think that is one of the things that, besides the obvious of doing good in the world, there's an awful lot of good that this can do for your business too. One of the things that, people are struggling with all the time are things like, brand loyalty, for instance. What a wonderful way for people to establish brand loyalty by having their customers understand where some of that money is going, where, what your belief system is, what the sort of underlying foundation is for the organization that they're working with. There's some really big stats. In fact, I went and updated my stats just before, I knew we would be talking about this tonight, and I couldn't believe how much higher they've gotten. There's things like, 87% of consumers are more likely to work with a company that they are in alignment with the issue that they care about. Like, that's a big number. We know that number is particularly high with millennials, and I thought that it was primarily in that group, but it's now 87% across the board. That's a big number. Yeah. We know that, for instance, something like 73% of employees want to work for a company that has some alignment to some mission that's important to them too. Obviously, that's great for retention and recruitment strategies, for having some of the best people. It's really quite deep and broad. And there's other areas too. I don't know how deep you want me to go into this, but we could talk about that for a long time.
Well, that's quite important. You were talking about these statistics, and a lot of people want to live their life with a mission, something that will empower, climate change, or empower themselves, or empower their life. Everybody's looking at something right now. And I know that you just talked about the stats on the importance of social mission to consumers and success, but is there something else that can you elaborate on that a little bit more? You talked about millennials. What about the other age groups?
Yeah, it's from what we can tell now that there's an across the board consumer awareness of what companies are doing and where they're spending their money. All of them are above 50% now. So 64% of consumers worldwide choose to actually switch or avoid a company that they don't have the same belief system in. That's a big number too. 64% of consumers are willing to pay more for products if they feel like you're in alignment on social and environmental projects. Those are pretty substantial issues that in all cases are really exciting. And on top of all of that, besides the fact that this obviously gives you some brand loyalty, some new customers, a way to talk to prospects, it is a wonderful way to add an enormous amount of content and communication with your audience and with your prospects, which is something that a lot of people are struggling with these days. Everybody's trying to figure out what content to bring out into the world now that we have a million social channels and lots of other things to worry about. This is a phenomenal way to make an impact and talk about something without selling all the time. I think it'll make a big difference.
No, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I know that marketers are constantly struggling right now. There's so much data out there, but they don't know what to do with it. And there's so much information out there. And then you have, there's people that are passionate. There's people that are haters. There's so much going on. But what steps can you take to align your goals with a meaningful social purpose?
I think the easiest thing to do is to do something that's already in your everyday life, or already something that you're involved in to some degree. If you really don't have something that you're already doing either in your life or in your business that's important to you, then it's time to start doing some research or start looking at what some other companies have been doing. You see stories like Tom's Shoes, who have been famous for decades for donating a pair of shoes for every pair they sell, for instance, or it'll come to me, Warby Parker, the eyeglass company. They do the same thing. They donate a pair of glasses for every one that they sell. You start looking at some of those sort of simple examples. They're hugely impactful, and they're, kind of simple for any company who's got something that they're doing out in the world to find a way to make a similar impact for those that are in need.
Those are really good points. A lot of companies are starting to do a lot of social impact, and people are starting to, brand with them and connect with them in a way that we've never known before. But when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about that. So please don't go away.